Okay, hi everybody, this is Mike Terrace with the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, and I'm here presenting another Track Tuesday for everybody. And as you can see, snow has finally come, at least to the interior, and as soon as snow comes, people start seeing tracks of animals that they may not otherwise see on the bare ground. So when that happens, people also start sending in pictures of tracks that they are not sure of what it is. So I really want to talk to you about how to get the best pictures of tracks, so when you do want to identify them, we have everything you need in there to help you identify the track. To demonstrate how to best take pictures of tracks, we came out here today, just out in the fields, and came across these beautiful fresh fox tracks that are on this little pond. So I'm going to use these as an example. The lighting is really good today. It's not always going to be that way in our conditions, of course, once the sun starts to get lower and lower. But we'll start out just showing you how to take pictures of tracks. Just before we get into looking at the actual tracks, a few things that really are helpful when you're taking pictures. The most important one is having a tape measure or some kind of measuring device, so you can place it down at the track so we have some kind of scale. It's much better to have an actual ruler or a tape measure than it is to use other items like coins or lighters or whatever people use, because you got to then figure out what size those things are too, and then extrapolate that. So a good tape measure is invaluable to taking track pictures. We have these little track cards, fold outs that have all the Alaska tracks on them, even that you can come get at any area office, and those have a ruler on the back, a 6-inch ruler. I also have some cards that I print out you can carry in your wallet from the beartracker.com, and on there they have these cards you can print out, laminate, and take with you wherever. You always have one in your wallet, so there's no excuse for not having a measuring device. Okay. The other thing is that could be important is on the days where there's no light, really bad lighting, and no shadows, having a flashlight can really help you out to cast some low-level shadows on the tracks, and that can make the difference between a picture that has nothing in it and a picture that has some track in it. Okay, so right here I have an individual fox track here that I'm going to take a picture of. When you have a track and you get your ruler placed down next to it, the things that you're going to measure is the length of the track and the width. And when you do it with your phone or your camera, for this part you want to be right above the track, like 90 degrees or directly above the track. So you get all the features in there and you don't distort it by having your phone at an angle. Once you have the individual tracks taken pictures of, and these tracks are this animal's walking in a direct register, so it's actually putting its hind feet right where its front feet were. So you can't take a picture of the front and the hind feet because they're both in the same place. But if they weren't, you would want to take pictures of each one of the tracks, of the front and the hind. But in this case here, the next thing you want to do is take a picture of the gait that the animal is using. And that's basically the series of tracks that it's leaving down. And here I have my tape measure to get the gait placed at one track here, the left foot, and then the full length would be to where that foot landed again. So that would be about the length, the length of the body of the animal, and that will be the stride length for this animal. So that's another important thing to capture. You still want to do that if you can, fit it in from as high above as possible and not get it at a big angle, because that does a couple things, and it distorts compresses the tracks together because of that angle of the picture. And then you want to stand back even further and then take a picture from a little bit further, so you get more of that gait and you get a sense of the environment that the animal is moving in as well. And those three perspectives right on top, pictures of the gait, and then an overall picture, all three of those really help to paint help us to make a decision on what animal may have left those tracks. A couple of things that will also help in determining what animals made the tracks besides the pattern and the actual tracks. A lot of times in our snow, the tracks aren't clear because we have really powdery snow, and the conditions aren't great, and the powder, it's just powder. The foot goes in and comes out and it fills up with snow. So a lot of times we rely on a pattern of the tracks and the gait, the stride length and everything to give clues to what the animal is. But if you see some tracks and you just don't see a clear, good track, follow the thing, you know, follow it and until you find a good track, because snow conditions change all the time. You're eventually going to find a good track, whether the snow gets firmer or you go follow an animal into the woods and it's under spruce trees. There's usually just a dusting of snow and they leave better tracks under spruce trees. So just follow the thing for a while. Don't just look in one spot and say, oh, what is this? And try to figure it out. You need more clues sometimes, so do that. And then the other thing is, animals leave other sign like scat, which could be very valuable. Like this fox that went through here left a little piece of scat here, and that can be real valuable because all animals have different types of scat. So sometimes we can identify an animal just based on the scat itself. So all the other clues that you can gather really help to paint the whole picture of what is going on out there.
This is Jen Curl. I work with Mike at the Alaska Department of Fish and Game. Couple quick tips on taking photos. Most of us just have a phone with us when we're outside. And if you have an SLR, that's great, and it'll be a little bit fancier, but I just want to give you a couple quick tools with basic smartphones that will help you take some nice photos. So one is, whether you have an iPhone or any other kind of smartphone, you should have a function where you can tap an area of the photo and it will let you focus. So with the track, you want to tap right on the track, and like Mike said before, you want to try and be right above it so that the whole thing is in focus. And you note that I have a tape measure for scale. And then the next thing is you can actually control the exposure. So when you focus it, if you hold down with enough pressure, you'll get a lock up here at the top of my screen. It says that it's locked. Then what I can do is I can adjust the exposure and I can make it lighter or I can make it darker, and that will give better definition to the shadows and the highlights in the photo. So what you'll see, if you don't focus on the track, if you focus over here, your track might actually end up out of focus. Also, if you're not paying attention, your photo might be way too light or way too dark and make it harder to see.